The fabric of reality tore open above the broken aisles like a wound bleeding pure chakra into the arcane-saturated air of Azeroth. The Kirin Tor mages stationed at Dalaran's perimeter felt at first a surge of energy that registered on no known magical spectrum. Not arcane, not fell, not void, not holy, something entirely alien to their world. High above the floating city, suspended between dimensions, Naruto Uzumaki tumbled through the interdimensional rift with his characteristic lack of grace. One moment he'd been pursuing a rogue shinobi who'd somehow activated an ancient seal in the ruins near Konoha. The next, he was falling through a kaleidoscope of impossible colors and sensations that made even his experiences with space-time jutsu seem mundane. What the... His words were stolen by the screaming winds as he plummeted toward an unfamiliar landscape. Below him stretched a world of impossible geography. Floating cities, crystalline spires, mountains that pierced the clouds, and an ocean that seemed to glow with its own internal light. Naruto's instincts kicked in. Orange chakra flared around his body as he called upon Kurama's power, slowing his descent. His eyes widened as he took in the sight of the massive floating city growing larger in his vision. Okay, that's definitely not Konoha. Believe it or not, I think I'm in serious trouble here. He landed with a thunderous impact in the center of Dalaran's Runeweaver Square, cratering the enchanted stone pavement and sending startled mages and merchants scattering. The protective wards that should have prevented any unauthorized entry simply didn't register him. As far as Dalaran's ancient magical defenses were concerned, Naruto didn't exist. The young shinobi stood up, brushing cosmic dust from his orange and black jacket. He blinked at the assembled crowd elves with impossibly long ears, blue-skinned Draenei with tentacle beards, short-bearded dwarves, and humans who looked almost normal except for their medieval armor and obvious magical auras. Hey there. Naruto waved enthusiastically, his trademark grin spreading across his face despite the confusion in his eyes. Sorry about your floor. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I have absolutely no idea where I am. This definitely isn't the land of fire. The crowd stared in stunned silence. Then someone screamed, "Intruder! Unknown entity in the city!" Dalaran's guards materialized in defensive formations, their weapons crackling with arcane energy. The lead guard, a stern-faced human woman in ornate purple armor, raised her staff. By order of the Kirin Tor, identify yourself and state your method of entry. How did you breach our defenses? Naruto scratched the back of his head, a gesture that would become familiar to Azeroth's inhabitants in the coming days. Like I said, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. And I didn't really breach anything. I was chasing this guy who opened some weird portal, and then I was falling, and now I'm here talking to elves, and are those actual dwarves? That's so cool. Seize him, the guard captain commanded. 6 Kirin Tor battle mages launched simultaneous spells. Frost bolts, arcane missiles, and binding chains of pure magical force converged on Naruto's position. The young shinobi's expression shifted from friendly confusion to focused alertness in an instant. His hands blurred through familiar seals. Shadow Clone Jutsu. The square erupted in smoke, and when it cleared, 200 perfect copies of Naruto stood in formation, each one solid and real, in a way that made every mage present question their understanding of illusion magic. The incoming spells struck clones, which burst into smoke, but more appeared to replace them. Multi-shadow clone jutsu? In enclosed space? Impossible, whispered Archmage Khadgar, who had arrived to investigate the disturbance. His ancient eyes, which had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, widened in genuine shock. Those aren't illusions. They're real. Each one has a distinct life force signature. How? Way. How? The guard captain's frostbolt finally connected with the original Naruto, or so she thought. The clone burst into smoke. Another Naruto tapped her on the shoulder from behind. Hey, I really don't want to fight, he said earnestly. I'm just lost and trying to figure out how to get home. Can we talk about this? She spun, launching a point-blank arcane blast. That Naruto dispersed too. The captain found herself surrounded by grinning, orange-clad shinobi. "This is incredible," Khadgar murmured, stroking his beard. "He's not using mana. The energy signature is completely foreign, and the tactical applications." The Archmage's mind raced through the implications. One person creating a literal army of functional duplicates could shift the balance of any conflict in Azeroth. One of the Naruto clones noticed the old mage's different demeanor. "Hey, old man with the cool beard. You seem less stabby than everyone else. Want to explain what's going on?" Before Khadgar could respond, a massive explosion of holy light erupted at the square's entrance. Through the radiance strode a Draenei paladin, his crystalline armor gleaming, a massive warhammer resting on his shoulder. High Exarch Turalion had arrived, and he was not pleased. "Stand down, all of you." His voice carried the weight of centuries of military command. The guards immediately lowered their weapons. Even Naruto's clones paused, sensing the raw power radiating from this newcomer. Turalion's glowing eyes fixed on Naruto. "You. Dispel your duplicates and come peacefully. We will not harm you if you cooperate." Naruto's clones all crossed their arms simultaneously, 200 identical defiant poses. "And if I don't want to? I told you guys, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just trying to figure out where I am and how to get home." The High Exarch raised his hammer, holy energy cascading along its length. "Then, I will be forced to." A demonic screech split the air. Reality tore open for the second time that day. But this rift was different. Sickly green, pulsing with fell energy, reeking of sulfur and burning souls. Through it poured a horde of demons, Felguards, Wrathguards, and Imp Mothers, led by an enormous pit lord whose horns scraped the bottom of Dalaran's protective dome. "The Burning Legion!" Someone screamed. Panic erupted. Panic erupted. Panic erupted. The pit lord's voice boomed across the square, speaking in Eridun that the city's translation enchantments rendered into common. "Your wards are weakened by the dimensional breach. Dalaran will fall, and the Legion will feast on your Rasengan." The battle cry came from directly in front of the demon's face. Naruto had crossed the distance in a blink, a spiraling sphere of blue chakra forming in his palm. The pit lord had only a moment to register the threat before the technique connected with his armored chest. The Rasengan's rotation created a vortex of pure kinetic force that drilled through fel-forged armor as if it were paper. The pit lord's eyes widened in shock and agony as the spiraling sphere of energy burrowed through his torso, erupting out his back in a spray of green ichor. The massive demon stumbled backward, crashed through 3 of his own troops, and dissolved into ash. Silence fell over the square. "Okay." Naruto's voice was cheerful as he landed back on the ground, shaking fell blood off his hand. "Now that the actual bad guys are here, maybe we can work together? Because back home, when demons show up, we don't stand around arguing, we kick them out. Believe it." Turalion stared at the dissolving remains of the pit lord. In his long military career, he'd seen few champions capable of soloing such a demon. This boy, he looked no older than 20, had done it casually, with a technique that used no mana whatsoever. "Light help us," the paladin whispered. "What are you?" Khadgar stepped forward, his staff glowing as he began casting protective barriers around the remaining civilians. Philosophical questions later. "Turalion, we have a demon invasion to repel." Full on. The remaining Legion forces surged forward. Dalaran's guards and mages formed defensive lines, preparing to sell their lives dearly. Standard tactics when a rift opened within the city itself called for evacuation of civilians and a fighting retreat to the portal room. But Naruto had other ideas. "Hey everyone, get the regular people out of here," he grinned, that confident smile that had inspired so many of his comrades back home. "I'll handle this." "You can't possibly," the guard captain began. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. The square filled with smoke. When it cleared, over 1,000 Naruto clones stood ready, each one cracking their knuckles in anticipation. The demons, creatures who had terrorized countless worlds and broken the spirits of entire civilizations, hesitated. Their fell-corrupted minds struggled to process what they were seeing. "All right, guys," the original Naruto shouted to his clones. "Let's show these demons what happens when they mess with a Leaf Village ninja." "Yeah," 1,000 voices responded in unison. What followed was less a battle and more a demonstration of overwhelming force. The Naruto clones swarmed the demonic invaders like a living tsunami of orange and blue. Each clone was capable of creating Rasengans, of enhanced strength and speed that put them on par with champion-level fighters. Where it might take a team of experienced heroes to bring down a Felguard, Naruto clones worked in coordinated groups of 3 or 4, dismantling the demons with brutal efficiency. A clone would distract from the front, while 2 others struck from behind with Rasengans. Another group would use substitution jutsu to confuse their targets before landing devastating combination attacks. The clones laughed and shouted encouragement to each other, treating the life-or-death battle like an intense training exercise. Khadgar watched in amazement, his staff forgotten at his side. Each one is thinking independently, coordinating, learning from the other's experiences. This isn't just magical duplication, it's multiplicative force enhancement. An imp mother launched a volley of fellfire at a group of clones. They burst into smoke, but the memories and experiences of facing that attack transferred back to Naruto and all his remaining clones simultaneously. The next time she tried the technique, 20 clones were ready with synchronized dodges, closing the distance and finishing her with multiple Rasengans before she could cast again. Turalian found himself fighting alongside one of the clones against a pair of Wrathguards. The clone moved with a fluid grace that reminded him of the Windwalker monks of Pandaria, but with raw power that exceeded anything he'd seen from those masters. "Your name was Naruto?" The paladin grunted, his hammer crushing a demon's skull, while the clone's Rasengan tore through another. "Yep." The clone responded cheerfully, already moving to intercept another threat. "Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage." "What's a Hokage?" "Like, the strongest and most respected leader of a ninja village." "It's been my dream since I was a kid." A Wrathguard nearly decapitated the clone while it was talking, but another Naruto swept in from the side, blocking the blade with a kunai that shouldn't have been able to stop such a massive weapon, but did anyway, through the application of chakra enhancement. "Thanks, me," the first clone said to the second. "No problem, me," the second responded. Turalian shook his head. This was going to take some getting used to. Within 10 minutes, the demonic incursion was over. The Fell Rift collapsed as the last of the invaders was eliminated, unable to maintain stability without the Pit Lord's power anchoring it. The Naruto clones dispelled themselves in sequence, each one's experiences flooding back to the original. Naruto staggered slightly as 1,000 perspectives merged in his mind, something he was used to, but which always took a moment to process. He looked around at the shocked faces of Dalaran's defenders and grinned. "See? No problem. Now, about getting me home." Khadgar approached slowly, his expression a mixture of wonder and caution. "Young man Naruto, I must apologize for our hostile reception. You have done this city a great service. A demonic incursion of that scale within our walls could have killed hundreds. It's cool. You guys didn't know who I was, and I just dropped out of the sky. I'd probably be suspicious too." Naruto's stomach growled audibly. "Hey, don't suppose you have any ramen around here? I'm starving. Fighting always makes me hungry." The guards exchanged confused glances. "Ramen?" one asked. "You know, noodles in broth with pork and eggs and green onions and..." Naruto's eyes lit up, describing his favorite food. "Oh man, please tell me you guys have ramen in this world." Despite the tension, several of the mages found themselves smiling at the young warrior's enthusiasm. There was something disarming about his genuine, unguarded nature. He just single-handedly repelled a legion assault and was now excited about noodles. "Perhaps we can find something suitable," Khadgar said diplomatically. "But first, we need to discuss your situation. The Council of Six will want to meet with you, and we should examine how you arrived here. Such knowledge could be invaluable for our own dimensional research." Naruto's expression grew more serious. "Yeah, about that. I really need to get back home. My friends are probably worried sick, and there's this whole thing with Sasuke, and Granny Tsunade is going to kill me if I miss any more missions. We'll do everything we can to help, Khadgar assured him. But understanding the nature of your arrival is the first step. Come, let me show you to more comfortable accommodations than a crater in the square. As they walked through Dalaran's streets, Naruto gaped openly at the sights. Mages flew through the air on arcane discs, enchanted brooms, and various magical carpets. Shops sold spell components and magical artifacts that glowed with inner light. Ethereal beings phased through walls while Death Knights in armor radiating cold energy stood guard at strategic intersections. This place is incredible, Naruto exclaimed. It's like someone took a ninja village and made it float in the air and filled it with magic. Does everyone here use magic? What about taijutsu, hand-to-hand combat? Do you guys train in that too? Turalian, who had followed them, responded. Some do. Paladins like myself combine holy magic with martial prowess. Monks dedicate themselves entirely to physical perfection, but most of our people rely primarily on magic, weapons, or both. Back home, even if you can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu illusions and stuff, you can still be an amazing ninja if you master taijutsu. My friend Lee proved that. He can't use chakra for techniques at all, but he's one of the strongest people I know. They entered the Violet Citadel, the seat of the Kirin Tor's power. Inside, the Council of Six had assembled in emergency session. These were some of the most powerful mages in Azeroth. Jaina Proudmoore, Varisa Windrunner, Ansirim Runeweaver, Modera, Carlane, and Kalekgos in his half-elf form. Jaina Proudmoore, Lord Admiral of Kul Tiras and one of the most powerful human mages alive, studied Naruto with frost-blue eyes that had seen more tragedy and conflict than most could comprehend. So this is the boy who defeated a pit lord and an entire demonic war party single-handedly. Wasn't really single-handed, Naruto protested. I had like 1,000 hands if you count all the clones. Kalekgos, a blue dragon in disguise, leaned forward with interest. This technique of yours, this multiplication of yourself, how does it work? What powers it? Naruto launched into an enthusiastic explanation of chakra, ninja training, and shadow clones that left most of the council struggling to follow. He talked about the difference between chakra and what they described as mana, explaining that chakra was a combination of physical and spiritual energy. So you're telling us, Jaina said slowly, that every person in your world can potentially access this chakra, and with training, could create dozens of physical duplicates. Well, shadow clone jutsu is pretty advanced, Naruto admitted. Most ninja can only make a few clones at a time. I can make way more because of my, special circumstances. He didn't mention Kurama. That was a conversation for later. Maybe never. Khadgar stroked his beard thoughtfully. A power system entirely separate from the arcane, fell, holy, shadow, nature, or death magics. Fascinating. And you say you were pulled here by accident? Naruto nodded. Yeah, I was chasing this rogue ninja who activated some kind of seal. Next thing I knew, I was falling toward your floating city. So, can you help me get back? The council members exchanged glances. Finally, Kalekgos spoke. The energies we detected from your arrival suggest a dimensional rift of extraordinary power. Replicating it would require resources, time, and research we're not currently equipped to provide immediately. We're in the middle of our own conflict. The Burning Legion you encountered is currently invading our world on a massive scale. Wait, seriously? Naruto's eyes widened. You mean there's more of those demons? Millions, Jaina said quietly. Across multiple continents. They seek to destroy our world utterly. Every defender is precious right now. Naruto processed this information, his expression growing determined in a way the council members would learn to recognize. Then, I'll help. I can't just sit around while people are in danger, especially if you're going to help me get home anyway. That's what heroes do, right? We protect people who need protecting. Your assistance would be invaluable, Khadgar said carefully. But you understand this could take weeks, possibly months to arrange your return? I'll make it work, Naruto said firmly. Besides, fighting demons sounds way more interesting than just waiting around. Where do I sign up? What Naruto didn't realize was that his offer would reshape the balance of power in Azeroth's conflict. And watching from scrying pools and crystal balls across the world, various factions were already taking note of this new and unprecedented force that had entered their reality. In Stormwind Keep, King Anduin Rin watched the playback of Naruto's battle against the Legion incursion. His advisors crowded around him, all offering different opinions. A potential asset for the Alliance, suggested High Commander Halford Wormbane. One fighter with the power of an army could turn the tide at several critical fronts. Or a potential threat, countered Spymaster Shaw, ever cautious. We know nothing about his true motives or capabilities. For all we know, this could be an elaborate infiltration. Anduin studied the image of Naruto helping a frightened gnome child to safety between volleys of Rasengans. The young king, who had always sought to see the best in people, made his decision. His actions in Dalaran speak to his character. Dispatch messengers to the Kirin Tor. I want a formal meeting arranged with this Naruto Uzumaki. Meanwhile, in Orgrimmar, Warchief Sylvanas Windrunner received her own reports. The Banshee Queen's crimson eyes studied the tactical assessments with cold calculation. A single warrior with the power to create an army, she mused. Such power should not remain in Alliance hands. High Overlord Sorfang, what's your assessment? The old orc warrior grunted, his scarred face thoughtful. The boy fights with honor, from what I've read. He eliminated demons efficiently but didn't pursue fallen enemies. He protected civilians. These are the actions of a warrior, not a weapon. All the more reason to recruit him to the Horde, Sylvanas replied. Or at least ensure he doesn't become an Alliance champion. Neither faction knew that Naruto would prove resistant to all recruitment efforts, or that his presence would force both Alliance and Horde to reconsider their perspectives on power and heroism. 3 days after his arrival, Naruto had been given quarters in Dalaran and was being treated as an honored guest rather than a prisoner. Khadgar had assigned him a guide, a young human mage named Alana, who seemed perpetually flustered by Naruto's questions. So everyone here can do magic? Naruto asked for the 15th time as they walked through the city. Most people have some magical aptitude, yes, Alana explained patiently. But it requires years of study and practice to... Can you teach me? She blinked. Teach you magic? I suppose we could try. But if your world doesn't have mana, you might not be able to. Won't know until we try. Back home, everyone said I'd never become a good ninja because of the Nine Tails. But I proved them wrong. I can learn anything if I work hard enough. Alana couldn't help but smile at his enthusiasm. Very well. Let's start with something simple. A basic arcane missile spell. She spent the next hour trying to teach Naruto to sense and manipulate mana. The results were... mixed. Naruto could sense something, but his attempts to cast resulted in either nothing happening or small explosions of what looked like blue chakra rather than arcane energy. I don't think it's working, Naruto admitted finally, looking disappointed. Your magic and my chakra are just too different. Perhaps, Alana conceded. But you have your own abilities, which are equally impressive. More so, in some ways. Yeah, but I wanted to learn. That's the cool part about going to new places. Learning new things. He perked up suddenly. Hey, what about your martial arts people? Those monks you mentioned? Maybe I could learn from them. Before Alana could respond, warning bells began ringing throughout Dalaran. A voice amplified by magic echoed across the city. Undead assault on the broken shore. All available defenders to the portal room. Naruto's head snapped up. Undead? Like zombies? The Scourge, Alana said grimly. Reanimated dead serving the Lich King. Or in this case, likely the Legion controlling Scourge remnants. We need to... but Naruto was already running toward the portal room, leaving her scrambling to follow. The broken shore was a nightmare landscape of jagged black rock and green fell fire. A combined alliance and horde force was engaged in a desperate battle against waves of skeletal warriors, shambling ghouls, and towering abominations stitched together from multiple corpses. The defenders were organized, disciplined, and clearly experienced. But they were also being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. The Scourge forces were being directed by a Death Knight whose armor pulsed with unholy power, a champion of considerable strength. Naruto emerged from the Dalaran portal into chaos. Warriors shouted commands, priests chanted healing prayers, mages launched spells into the undead hordes. The smell of death and fell corruption was overwhelming. "Positions!" a dwarven commander bellowed. "Hold the line. Don't let them." Rasen Shuriken. The battle cry cut through the noise. Naruto hurled a spinning disc of wind chakra that screamed through the air like a circular saw. When it struck the center of the undead formation, it exploded into thousands of microscopic wind blades that shredded everything within a 30-foot radius. Skeletons, ghouls, and abominations dissolved into component parts, then dust. The defending forces stared in shock. A single attack had eliminated what would have taken coordinated volleys of spells and artillery to destroy. Naruto landed among the defenders, grinning. "Sorry I'm late. Someone want to point me at the bad guys?" A blood elf paladin found her voice first. The Death Knight. The one on the obsidian platform. He's controlling them." "Got it. Thanks." Naruto formed a hand seal. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. 200 Narutos spread across the battlefield. The undead, creatures who knew no fear in unlife, faltered. Their Death Knight commander's glowing eyes widened in his helmet. "What manner of sorcery?" he began. "Not sorcery. Ninja techniques," a Naruto clone cheerfully informed him before delivering a Rasengan to his chestplate. The enchanted armor cracked. The Death Knight stumbled backward, then roared in fury, dark energy gathering around his rune blade. "I am Commander Thorval, of the Ebon Blade. I will not fall to some conjured—" 3 more Narutos hit him simultaneously from different angles with Rasengans. His armor shattered completely. He swung his blade in a wide arc that would have killed any normal opponent. But the clones either dodged or blocked with chakra-enhanced kunai. "You're pretty tough," one Naruto admitted. "But I've fought reanimated dead before, and I know the trick. You gotta hit them hard enough that they can't come back." The real Naruto appeared above the Death Knight, orange chakra swirling around him. "Here's one of my favorites. Massive Rasengan." The spiraling sphere of energy was 3 times normal size, glowing with intense blue light. It crashed down on Thorval with the force of a meteor. The Death Knight's body cratered into the obsidian ground. His rune blade shattered. His unholy energies dispersed. Without their commander, the Scourge forces lost cohesion. The remaining undead were systematically destroyed by the defending troops, who found new vigor watching the Naruto clones dart through the battlefield like orange and blue lightning, each one eliminating threats with practiced efficiency. When the battle ended, the combined alliance and horde force stared at Naruto in something approaching religious awe. A Tauren warrior slowly approached, his massive frame somehow making him seem gentle rather than threatening. "I am a Pawnee Brightmane," he said in a deep, resonant voice. "You fought with great courage and honor. Young one, what is your name?" "Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you." Naruto extended his hand. After a moment's hesitation, a pony shook it. Naruto's grip surprisingly strong for someone so much smaller. An orc warrior pushed forward, her expression suspicious. "These clones of yours, could they not be used to infiltrate our cities? How do we know you're not a threat?" "What?" Naruto's expression became serious. "Because I'm a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village, and ninja don't attack civilians or do sneaky infiltration stuff unless we're at war. And I'm not at war with anyone here. I just want to help until I can go home." "You speak of honor," a night elf huntress observed, her glowing eyes studying him carefully. "Yet you call yourself an assassin." "Ninja, not assassin," Naruto corrected. There's a difference. We protect our village and take on missions. Yeah, but we also help people, stop threats, and try to make things better. That's what my teacher taught me, and it's what I believe. Jaina Proudmoore stepped through a portal, having arrived moments after the battle concluded. She'd been watching from Dalaran, and the implications of what she'd witnessed troubled her deeply. A single individual had turned the tide of a battle that should have resulted in significant casualties. "Naruto Uzumaki," she called out, her voice carrying across the battlefield. "The council would like to speak with you about formalizing your assistance." Formalizing? Naruto looked confused. "They want to make you an official ally." Alana, who had followed through the portal, explained quietly. "Give you resources, assign you missions, that sort of thing." "Oh sure, I guess that makes sense. Though you guys don't need to give me anything, I'm just doing what heroes do." Jaina studied him carefully. His words seemed genuine, lacking any hint of deception or ulterior motive. She'd used subtle magic to detect lies, but his emotional state read as completely sincere. It was refreshing in a world where everyone seemed to have hidden agendas. "Nevertheless," she said, "your capabilities deserve proper recognition. Return to Dalaran, and we'll discuss the details." What neither Jaina nor the council anticipated was how quickly word of Naruto's prowess would spread. Within a week, both Alliance and Horde leadership were requesting his presence for critical missions. The problem was that Naruto refused to take sides. "I don't get why you guys are fighting each other when there are demons invading," he said bluntly during a council session that included representatives from both factions. King Anduin had arrived personally to meet this mysterious warrior, as had High Overlord Saurfang representing the Horde. "The conflicts between Alliance and Horde are complicated," Anduin said diplomatically. The young king had immediately liked Naruto's straightforward nature. Generations of bloodshed and mistrust. "Yeah, but demons," Naruto gestured emphatically. "I get that you guys have history, but there are literal world-ending monsters trying to kill everyone. Can't you work together until they're dealt with? Then go back to arguing about whatever it is you're arguing about." Saurfang barked a laugh. The boy has a point. How many times have Alliance and Horde set aside differences temporarily when greater threats emerged? Too many, Anduin admitted with a slight smile. "Very well, Naruto. We'll assign you to operations where both factions are cooperating. Will that be acceptable?" "Perfect. See, I knew we could figure it out." Naruto's grin was infectious. Over the following weeks, Naruto became a legend across Azeroth. Stories spread of the orange-clad warrior who could be everywhere at once, who defeated demon lords with spinning blue spheres, who laughed in the face of death and treated every battle like training. He helped defend Stormwind from a demon incursion, creating 500 clones to evacuate civilians, while the other 500 fought off the assault. The citizens of Stormwind began leaving offerings of flowers and food where he'd stood, treating the spots like shrines. In Orgrimmar, he'd impressed even the most hardened orc warriors by challenging High Overlord Saurfang to a sparring match. The old veteran was one of the greatest warriors the Horde had ever produced, and their bout lasted 3 hours, ending in mutual exhaustion and respect. Saurfang declared Naruto an honorary member of the Horde, though Naruto insisted he couldn't accept official membership in any faction. "You remind me of Thrall," Saurfang told him afterward. "That same determination to see the good in people, to believe things can be better. Who's Thrall? A story for another time, young one." The Night Elves of Darnassus initially distrusted him, but when he helped defend their world tree from burning Legion sappers, High Priestess Tyrande Whisperwind personally blessed him. The fact that he could run up and down the trunk of Teldrassil without magic fascinated the Druids, who studied his chakra control with academic interest. But not everyone was pleased with Naruto's growing influence. In the Twisting Nether, demon lords of the Burning Legion convened to discuss this anomaly that had destroyed several of their champions. "He is not of this world," hissed Mephistroth, a dreadlord of considerable cunning. "I have searched the archives of every world we've conquered. This chakra energy is unknown to the Legion. Then he represents either an opportunity or a threat, rumbled Kil'jaeden's voice from his throne of bones. The Legion commander's eyes blazed with fell fire. If we cannot corrupt him, we must eliminate him. Dispatch a full company pit lords, dreadlords, felguards. I want him tested. And if he prevails against a full company? Mephistroth asked. Then, Kil'jaeden said coldly, I will deal with him personally. The attack came without warning. Naruto was visiting Shattrath City in Outland, curious about the dimensional instability of the shattered world. When the sky turned green, dozens of massive Legion portals opened simultaneously, vomiting forth a veritable army of demons. 3 pit lords led the assault, each commanding thousands of lesser demons. The defenders of Shattrath scrambled to organize, but it was clear they'd be overwhelmed within minutes. Naruto stood atop one of the city's distinctive mushroom towers, assessing the threat. This was bigger than anything he'd faced since arriving in this world. His expression grew serious as he watched civilians fleeing in panic below. All right, he muttered to himself. Time to stop holding back. Orange chakra exploded around him, taking physical form. 2 flaming chakra arms manifested, then 4, then 6. The Nine-Tails power flooded through him as he entered his version 1 cloak form. The Naru Adol, the leader of Shattrath, pulsed with concern as it sensed the new energy signature. What is this power? Adol's crystalline voice echoed telepathically to nearby defenders. It feels ancient, primal. Naruto leaped from the tower, his chakra cloak leaving a burning trail in the air. He landed in front of the Legion's advance force and took a breath. Naruto leaped from the Legion's advance force. I didn't want to use this here, he called out to the demons. Because it scares people, and I'm trying to make friends, not worry them. But you guys brought too many for me to just clone spam through. The closest pit lord laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Your fear is rational, mortal. Submit to the Legion, and your death will be, I'm not scared for me, idiot. I'm trying to protect you guys from getting too hurt. Naruto's voice carried that absolute confidence that came from knowing his true capabilities. Because when I really get serious, things tend to get messy. End quote. The pit lord roared and charged. Naruto met the charge head-on. His chakra-cloaked fist connected with the demon's hammer in mid-swing. The resulting shockwave shattered windows throughout the district and sent lesser demons tumbling backward. Not bad, Naruto grinned, his canines lengthening under the Nine-Tails influence. But check this out. In Somo, he created 100 shadow clones, but these were different, each one surrounded by its own chakra cloak. They spread across the battlefield in a coordinated assault that left the Legion forces reeling. Where a normal clone might struggle against a Felguard, these enhanced versions tore through the armored demons like paper. A Dreadlord attempted to sow confusion with mind control, only to find that Naruto's clones were immune. They were constructs of chakra, not separate minds to dominate. When the Dreadlord tried to flee, 6 clones hit it simultaneously with Rasengans, obliterating it entirely. The 3 pit lords converged on what they believed was the original Naruto. They were wrong, it was a clone. The real Naruto appeared above them, gathering chakra into his palm. This one's new, he shouted down. I've been working on it since I got here, trying to combine techniques. Check it out, Tailed Beast Rasengan. The spiraling sphere was massive, dark red, mixed with blue, crackling with barely contained power. When it struck the ground between the 3 pit lords, the explosion carved a crater 50 feet deep and vaporized everything within 100 feet. The pit lords' dying screams echoed across the battlefield. The remaining Legion forces broke. These were creatures who had conquered thousands of worlds, who knew no fear, but they fled before Naruto's onslaught. The portals collapsed as the summoners were eliminated. Naruto's chakra cloak faded, leaving him standing alone in the crater, breathing heavily but grinning. Around him, the defenders of Shattrath slowly emerged from cover, staring at the devastation he'd wrought. A Draenei Vindicator approached cautiously. Young one, what was that form? That power? Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly. It's complicated. I've got this thing sealed inside me. A demon fox with 9 tails. Kurama. We're partners. Sort of. He lends me his chakra when I need it. A demon. Sealed within you? The Vindicator's eyes widened. And you control it? It took a lot of work, Naruto admitted. For a long time, we hated each other. But we talked, found common ground, and now we work together. Kurama's actually pretty cool once you get to know him. This revelation should have terrified everyone present. Instead, it had the opposite effect. Here was someone who had befriended a demon, who proved that even the most monstrous entities could be reasoned with. In a world constantly at war with demons, this was a revolutionary concept. Word of the Shattrath defense spread rapidly. The story became embellished with each retelling Naruto had faced down 100 pit lords, or he'd destroyed an entire legion world, or he was actually a old god in disguise. The Council of Six decided it was time to address these rumors directly. They held a public gathering in Dalaran, where Naruto could speak to representatives from all major factions. The Exodar sent Draenei diplomats, Ironforge sent dwarves, Silvermoon sent blood elves, the Tauren, trolls, Pandaren, and virtually every race in Azeroth sent observers. Naruto stood on a platform in the center of Runeweaver Square, looking distinctly uncomfortable with all the attention. Khadgar stood beside him, serving as moderator. "So," Khadgar began, "there have been many questions about your origins, your powers, and your intentions. This is your opportunity to address those concerns directly." Naruto took a deep breath. "Okay, here's the truth. I'm from a different world, a place where people use chakra instead of mana. I was training to become Hokage, the leader of my village, when I accidentally ended up here. I don't want to conquer anything or rule anyone. I just want to help out until you guys can figure out how to send me home." "And this demon fox inside you?" asked a blood elf magistrix. "Kurama's my friend now. Yeah, he's powerful and kind of scary looking, but he's not evil. We worked through our problems and now we're partners." Naruto paused, then added, "Actually, you guys would probably like him. He's super protective of people he cares about, and he hates the Burning Legion. Something about them reminding him of some jerks from our world." A night elf priestess raised her hand. "You've refused allegiance to any faction. Why?" Because picking sides in your war would mean fighting against people who aren't my enemies," Naruto said simply. "Alliance, Horde, you're all just trying to protect your homes and families. I get that. But the demons? The undead trying to kill everyone? Those are actual bad guys everyone can agree need to be stopped. That's where I focus." His answer was so straightforward, so lacking in political maneuvering, that it actually mollified many of the skeptics. This wasn't someone playing both sides, this was someone who genuinely didn't understand why they had to choose. King Anduin spoke up from the Alliance section. "What if we asked you to fight for us? Not against the Horde, but defending our lands." "I already do that," Naruto pointed out. "I've helped defend Stormwind, Ironforge, and Darnassus. I've also helped defend Orgrimmar, Silvermoon, and Thunderbluff. I'll protect anyone who needs protecting." Sylvanas Windrunner, attending via magical projection, asked coldly, "And if Alliance and Horde were to clash directly, where would you stand?" Naruto's expression became stubborn. Right in the middle, telling both sides to knock it off and focus on the real threats. "Look, I know you guys have history, war, betrayal, all that stuff, but back home, we had that too. Different ninja villages fighting for generations. And you know what? We found ways to work together when it mattered. We even stopped a world-ending threat by cooperating. If we could do it, so can you." The gathering ended with no firm conclusions. But Naruto's reputation shifted. He wasn't seen as a potential weapon to be claimed by one side or the other. He was something else entirely, a wild card. a neutral force that would act according to his own moral compass, regardless of politics. This made him simultaneously beloved by common people and frustrating to leaders. But it also meant that when a true crisis emerged, everyone knew they could call on Naruto without worrying about factional complications. That crisis came sooner than anyone expected. The old gods, ancient, malevolent entities, imprisoned deep within Azeroth itself, had been stirring for years. Their corruption spread through whispers and subtle influence, turning the faithful into fanatics and the wise into madmen. Azeroth, the most subtle of the old gods, had been working his tendrils into influential positions across both factions. When the Twilight's Hammer cult enacted their master plan to free Azeroth from his underwater prison, it happened with catastrophic speed. The ocean itself rose in rebellion, waves hundreds of feet high threatening coastal cities. Tentacles the size of buildings erupted from the seafloor, and at the center of it all, Azeroth's massive form began to emerge. A creature of nightmares whose very presence threatened sanity. "All hands to stations," Jaina Proudmoore's voice echoed through Dalaran. "This is a world-ending event. All available champions to the front line." Naruto was in Dalaran's library, having discovered that some of the historical texts about dimensional theory might help with getting him home. He dropped the book and ran for the portal room, where chaos reigned. "What's happening?" he demanded. Khadgar's face was grim. "An old god Azeroth is breaking free from his prison. If he fully manifests, his corruption will spread across the world. Even the strongest minds will fall to madness. Then we need to stop him before that happens. It's not that simple." Jaina appeared, her face pale. "Old gods can't be killed, only contained. Their essence is woven into Azeroth itself. Destroying one could destroy the world." Naruto's eyes narrowed. "That's what people said about Kurama, that he couldn't be killed or reasoned with. But I found a way. I'll find a way with this thing too." "You don't understand," Jaina began. But Naruto was already running through the portal to Nazjatar, Azeroth's domain. The underwater realm had transformed into a living nightmare. The water itself seemed infected with Azeroth's corruption. Dark and oily, sea creatures mutated into tentacled monstrosities attacked anything that moved. And above it all, Azeroth's massive eye opened, fixing its terrible gaze on the world. Naruto emerged from the portal onto a platform maintained by struggling mages. Around him, champions from every race fought desperately against waves of corrupted creatures. But they were losing ground. The madness in Azeroth's gaze was overwhelming their defenses. "Your mind. So different. So bright." The voice invaded Naruto's head. But unlike everyone else, he didn't crumple. Kurama's presence in his mindscape provided an anchor, a second consciousness that could share the mental burden. "This thing is annoying," Kurama's voice rumbled in Naruto's mind. "Want me to show it what real terror looks like?" "Not yet," Naruto muttered. "Let me try something first." He created 1,000 clones, then immediately dispelled them. The resulting feedback loop, 1,000 perspectives slamming into his mind simultaneously, would have driven most people insane. But Naruto had done this thousands of times. His mind was trained to handle multiple simultaneous thought streams. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with power. "Hey, ugly. If you want to play the mental game, let's see how you handle this." Naruto entered Sage mode, the natural energy of the world flowing into him. But this world's natural energy was different from his, tainted by Azeroth's corruption. It should have driven him mad. Instead, Kurama filtered it, purifying the energy before it reached Naruto's chakra network. Sage art, multi-shadow clone jutsu. The clones that appeared were different, surrounded by the natural energy of Azeroth, purified through Kurama's intervention. They spread across Nazjatar in a coordinated assault, each one adding their perspective to Naruto's growing understanding of Azeroth's corruption. "I get it now," Naruto shouted over the chaos. "You're not evil because you want to be, you're corrupted too. Something or someone made you this way. And you've been trapped down here going crazy for thousands of years. Impossible. You see, you understand." The champions around Naruto stared in disbelief. The boy was having a conversation with an old god. And somehow, he wasn't going insane. Yeah, I get it. Naruto's clones began creating Rasengans. But instead of attacking N'Zoth directly, they struck the corrupted areas around him. The tentacles, the mutated creatures, the infected water, purifying rather than destroying. You're lonely, scared, and angry. I felt like that too. But this isn't the answer. You remind me of something forgotten. Images flooded Naruto's mind, ancient history. Before N'Zoth's corruption, when the old gods first arrived on Azeroth. They hadn't been evil then, merely alien. Their transformation into monsters of madness had taken eons of imprisonment and isolation. Then let me help you remember. Naruto pushed more chakra into his sage mode, the natural energy creating a visible aura around him. You don't have to be the bad guy. We can find another way. Jaina and Khadgar arrived via teleport, both preparing to intervene if Naruto's approach failed. But what they witnessed defied all understanding of old god psychology. N'Zoth's massive form was calming. The tentacles stopped thrashing. The corrupted water began to clear. How is he doing this? Jaina whispered. The same way he does everything, Khadgar replied, a note of wonder in his voice. By refusing to accept that some things can't be changed. But the moment was shattered by a new arrival. Reality tore open, and through it stepped Kil'jaeden himself, the Legion commander who had been hunting Naruto. The massive Eridar Lord towered over the battlefield, his fell magic causing the purified water to boil. Foolish boy, Kil'jaeden's voice boomed across Nazjatar. You waste your power trying to redeem the irredeemable. The old gods cannot be saved, and neither can you. Naruto turned, his sage mode eyes narrowing. You're that demon guy everyone's been worried about. Kil'jaeden, right? Right? I am the decimator of worlds, the architect of the Legion's conquest. And you, anomaly, have interfered with our plans for the last time. Behind Naruto, N'Zoth stirred again, the old god's corruption flaring as it sensed the Legion's presence. For a moment, the two ancient enemies, old gods and burning Legion, focused on each other, their mutual hatred temporarily overwhelming all other considerations. Deceiver, you dare. You have no power here, old one. Kil'jaeden raised his hands, fell energy gathering. Your time is past! Naruto looked between the two cosmic threats, did some quick mental calculations, and made a decision. You know what? I'm tired of both of you threatening my friends. His friends. He'd called the people of Azeroth his friends. Despite being here only a few months, despite knowing he would eventually leave, he'd formed genuine bonds. Kurama, Naruto said aloud. Time to go all out. About time, kid. The transformation was spectacular. Orange chakra exploded outward, taking form and substance. In moments, the full manifestation of the nine-tailed fox appeared, a massive construct of pure chakra, towering even over Kil'jaeden's Eridar form. 9 tails waved behind it, each one crackling with power. The champions of Azeroth fell back in terror. This was beyond anything they'd witnessed before. Naruto, the friendly hero who laughed and joked, had become something from primordial legend. What is this? Kil'jaeden actually sounded surprised. Within the chakra construct, Naruto stood at the center, his voice amplified. This is me and my partner working together, and we're going to end this fight right now. The Nine Tails chakra form moved with impossible speed for something so large. One massive paw swatted aside a fell blast from Kil'jaeden. Another tail intercepted a tentacle from N'Zoth. Naruto was fighting both cosmic entities simultaneously. And not just surviving, he was winning. Tailed Beast Bomb, a sphere of pure chakra formed in front of the Nine Tails' mouth, black and red energy swirling together. It launched toward Kil'jaeden, who barely managed to deflect it with a desperate shield. The bomb detonated against the barrier, the explosion visible from the surface of the ocean miles above. Kil'jaeden staggered. For the first time in millennia, he felt genuine concern. This wasn't just power, it was power of a type the Legion had never encountered. Couldn't counter, couldn't corrupt. N'Zoth, Naruto called out, even while maintaining the chakra construct. I know you can understand me. Help me stop this demon, and I'll help you break free from your corruption. We can both win. A bold proposal. Very well. Strange one. Let us show the deceiver. True power. True power. True power. For the first time in recorded history, an old god and a mortal fought as allies. N'Zoth's tentacles, now driven by cooperation rather than madness, wrapped around Kil'jaeden's limbs, holding him in place. The Ninetales chakra form prepared for a final strike. This is it! Naruto poured everything into his next attack. Ultra Big Ball Rasengan. The spiraling sphere was enormous, glowing with blue-white intensity. It struck Kil'jaeden's center mass, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the Eridar Lord's form began to crack, fell energy bleeding from the fissures. Impossible. Kil'jaeden whispered, I am eternal. I am Legion. And I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the young shinobi shouted. And I protect my friends. Believe it. The Rasengan detonated. Kil'jaeden's scream echoed across dimensions as his physical form was obliterated, his essence banished back to the twisting nether, where it would take centuries to reform. The decimator of worlds had been defeated. Naruto's chakra cloak faded, leaving him standing on the platform, breathing hard. Around him, the corrupted water of Nazjatar was clearing. N'Zoth's influence receding as the old god's consciousness turned inward, contemplating what it had just experienced. Naruto Uzumaki. N'Zoth's voice was quieter now, almost contemplative. You have given me much to consider. I will retriate, for now, but know that you have changed something fundamental. Shown me that, perhaps, redemption is possible. The massive tentacles withdrew. N'Zoth's presence faded deeper into the ocean, not sealed by force but choosing to retreat. The Twilight's hammer cultists, suddenly freed from the old god's direct influence, collapsed in confusion. Jaina and Khadgar teleported to Naruto's platform as he slumped to his knees, exhausted. You did it, Jaina breathed. You actually convinced an old god to stand down. And you defeated Kil'jaeden. Do you understand what you've accomplished? Naruto looked up with a tired grin. I just talked to someone who needed help and fought a demon. Same stuff I do back home, really. You, Khadgar said slowly, are either the most powerful being to ever walk Azeroth, or the luckiest. Possibly both. Nah, Naruto replied, accepting Jaina's help to stand. I just don't give up. That's my ninja way. Word of Naruto's dual victory spread across Azeroth like wildfire. The boy from another world had defeated one of the Legion's greatest champions and made peace with an old god, two things that should have been impossible. The political ramifications were immediate. Both Alliance and Horde leadership realized that Naruto couldn't be controlled, recruited, or manipulated. He was a force of nature, guided only by his own moral compass. This actually made him more valuable, because it meant his assistance was genuine rather than politically motivated. Common people began to worship him, which Naruto found deeply uncomfortable. Shrines appeared in his honor, prayers were offered. Some even claimed he was an avatar of the Titans, or a forgotten old god himself, theories that made Naruto laugh. I'm just a ninja, he protested to anyone who would listen. Stop making statues of me. But the legends continued to grow. And in the Mechanicus archives of the Kirin Tor, Khadgar and his most trusted colleagues worked frantically on the dimensional research that would finally send Naruto home. 6 months after his arrival, they finally had a breakthrough. We've isolated the precise dimensional frequency of your home reality, Khadgar explained, gesturing to a massive apparatus in Dalaran's lower chambers. This device should be able to create a stable portal directly to your world. Naruto stared at the machine, emotions warring on his face. So I can finally go home. Yes, Jaina said softly. She'd become something like a mentor to Naruto during his time in Azeroth. Though we'll be sorry to see you leave. I'll miss you guys too, Naruto admitted. This place is crazy and dangerous, but the people here are amazing. You never give up, no matter how bad things get. You keep fighting. That's something I really respect. Over the next week, Naruto made his farewells. He visited Stormwind and shared a final meal with King Anduin, who'd become a genuine friend despite their age difference. He traveled to Orgrimmar and sparred one last time with Saurfang, their match ending in mutual laughter. He climbed Teldrassil to thank Tyrande for her blessing. In each location, people gathered to see him off. They brought gifts, enchanted items, weapons, armor, food, even books about Azeroth's history. Naruto tried to refuse, saying he couldn't carry it all, until a gnomish engineer presented him with a bag of holding that could store everything. The night before his departure, Naruto sat on Dalaran's edge, legs dangling over the 1,000-foot drop, staring at the stars. Jaina found him there. Couldn't sleep? She asked, sitting beside him. Just thinking, Naruto replied, about how different this world is from mine, but also how similar. You guys face these huge threats, demons, old gods, undead armies. We have tailed beasts, rogue ninja, and people trying to start wars. But in both places, there are people willing to fight to protect what matters. You've changed things here, Jaina said. Showed us that even ancient enemies can be reasoned with, that power doesn't have to corrupt, that one person really can make a difference. That's what my teachers taught me, Naruto replied. And I'll take what I learned here back home, all the friends I made, the battles I fought, the ramen He paused, grinning. Okay, the ramen here was pretty bad compared to Ichiraku's, but everything else was great. Well, Jaina laughed despite the melancholy of the moment. Promise you'll remember us? Always. Naruto said seriously. You guys are part of my story now. And who knows? Maybe someday I'll find a way back. Once I'm Hokage and things calm down, I'd love to visit again. The next morning, a crowd gathered in Dalaran's lower chambers. Representatives from every major faction attended Alliance, Horde, neutral parties, even some friendly dragons in humanoid form. They'd come to witness Naruto's departure. Naruto stood on the portal platform, his pack filled with gifts and memories. He'd added one item of his own, a Konoha headband, which he planned to give to Khadgar as a symbol of friendship between worlds. Ready? Khadgar asked, his hand on the activation lever. As I'll ever be, Naruto replied. He looked out at the assembled crowd. Thank you, everyone, for accepting me, even though I was weird and didn't fit in. For letting me help. For teaching me so much. I'm going to become Hokage someday. And when I do, I'll make sure our village has the same never-give-up spirit you guys showed me. We should be thanking you, Anduin called out. You've saved countless lives, inspired hope, and proven that heroism transcends all boundaries. The Horde honors your strength and spirit, Saurfang added gruffly. May your enemies tremble at your approach. Naruto grinned his signature grin one last time. All right then, see you guys around, believe it. Khadgar activated the machine. Energy crackled around the platform, building to a crescendo. A portal opened, not the sickly green of fell corruption or the purple of arcane magic, but a golden light that seemed to pulse with warmth. Through it, Naruto could see Konoha, his village, home. He stepped forward, then paused and looked back. Hey, Jaina, keep working on that ice technique I showed you. You were almost getting it. She smiled through tears. I will. Take care. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto took a breath and stepped through the portal. For a moment, his form was suspended between worlds, silhouetted against the golden light. His spiky hair and orange jumpsuit instantly recognizable. Then he was gone, and the portal collapsed. The assembled crowd stood in silence. Then, slowly, they began to disperse, but they would never forget. Stories of the Orange Hokage, as some called him, would be passed down through generations. His statues would remain in city squares. His techniques would be studied by mages seeking to understand chakra, and his philosophy that even the greatest enemies could be reasoned with would influence diplomatic efforts for years to come. In Konoha, Naruto tumbled out of the closing portal and face-planted in the middle of the training grounds. He lay there for a moment, feeling the familiar chakra signatures of his home village, smelling the familiar scents. Naruto? Sakura's voice. She'd been training nearby and had seen the portal. Where have you been? We've been looking everywhere. Naruto sat up, grinning despite the exhaustion. You're not going to believe this. Sakura-chan. I ended up in this crazy world with elves and orcs and demons. And I defeated this demon lord and made friends with an old god. And I see. Old god? Demon lord? Naruto, did you hit your head? I can prove it. He opened his bag of holding, which still worked, somehow, and pulled out an enchanted sword that glowed with holy light. See? They gave me presents. Sakura stared at the clearly magical weapon. Okay, you definitely need to tell me this whole story. But first, you need to report to Lady Tsunade. She's been furious for 3 days. 3 days? Naruto panicked. It's only been 3 days here? I was gone for 6 months. Time must flow differently between dimensions, came a familiar voice. Kakashi appeared in a swirl of leaves, his visible eye showing unusual seriousness. Welcome back, Naruto. And yes, you're going to explain everything, but I have to admit. He looked at the sword, then at Naruto's new scar from a battle with demons. You've definitely got an interesting story to tell. As Naruto walked back to the village with his friends, fielding a million questions about where he'd been, he felt a warmth in his chest. He'd made it home, but part of his heart would always remain in Azeroth, with the friends who'd accepted him without question, who'd fought beside him, who'd shown him that heroism existed in every world. And in Dalaran, Khadgar studied the residual energy from the portal, making careful notes. The dimensional barrier between their worlds had been weakened by Naruto's presence. It would be years, perhaps decades before it happened again. But someday, if the barriers thinned, if circumstances aligned, Naruto Uzumaki might return to Azeroth. And when he did, he would be welcomed not as a stranger, but as a hero coming home to his second family. In the depths of the ocean, N'Zoth stirred, the old god's consciousness touching briefly on the memory of the orange-clad warrior who had shown him a path to redemption. Perhaps, the ancient entity mused, there was hope even for creatures born of darkness. It was a thought that would have terrified the old god's enemies, had they known. And in the twisting nether, Kil'jaeden's shattered essence slowly began to reform, the Eridar Lord obsessing over his defeat. The anomaly called Naruto had wounded his pride, but more importantly, had proven that the Legion was not invincible. This knowledge would spread among the demons, creating doubt, creating fear, all because one young ninja refused to give up, refused to accept that some things couldn't be changed, and carried with him a simple philosophy. Protect those who need protecting, never abandon a friend, and always believe in the possibility of a better tomorrow. It was a philosophy that had changed one world and might someday change another. But for now, Naruto was home, surrounded by friends, with new stories to tell and new techniques to teach. And as he walked through Konoha's gates, his trademark grin firmly in place, he couldn't help but wonder what his next adventure would bring. Because that was the thing about being a hero, the adventure never really ended. Believe it,